Welcome, everybody, to Pragmatic Magic University. How many of you have been using your tools to create more magic? I really hope you're like a minute. Okay. Cool. And before we get to what we're going to chat about today, what I would like to invite you to is an awareness that I had many moons ago that was so eye-opening and simple, and it was like duh when I finally got there. Stop judging you for judging you. What? Okay, so when you're going about your day and you have all these tools but you haven't pulled one out yet, and you go into the depths of the shit and you haven't asked a question yet, there's this little thing that sneaks in called judgment. And it's so easy to go, oh, I can't believe I didn't use a tool there. I can't believe I didn't ask a question. And then you go into more wrongness. And that actually takes you further away from the tool that would set you free. So all the places already today that you've judged you for judging you, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, povads, bases, creations, and beyonds. Okay. So if I had a magic wand, which I do, it's called the clearing statement, but today we're going to use this magic hairbrush that I'm going to clean out before I put it on camera. Okay. Everybody stare at the magic hairbrush. What I'm going to ask to do with the magic hairbrush is to wipe your memory of the tool that we're about to use. Okay. Because there are so many ideas about this tool and it's so easy to check out the moment you hear what the tool is, because you're like, I've heard that one before. But what we're doing, as stated in the last call, is we are going back to basics and exploring tools as if we'd never heard them. Okay. So look into the magic. I'm going to get fired for this. They're like, Sarah, we don't use those tools. Okay, whatever. Anyways, look into the magic hairbrush, please. And everything that keeps you limited from with the conclusions of what you already know, that you won't let new things in. Will you destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9, shorts, boys, nope, all 100, shorts, boys, povads, bases, creations, and beyonds. Okay. Today's tool is called, who does it belong to? Okay. I know. Did you hear the crowd go wild? I am so excited to chat about this tool because of a million reasons, but it is one of those tools that you get really early on. A lot of us, myself included, faux used this tool. Like you kind of use this, you a little bit use this tool, but haven't really got the grasp of the target of the tool. This is where I'm going to introduce you to somebody who had a breakthrough with this tool recently. And I asked her if she would come on and chat with us. We're going to keep this one down and dirty today, 30 minutes-ish, and then let you go on about your way. So Alessandra, recently we were on a call and you were like, hold on, wait a second. I think I missed the target of this tool. So I'd love for you to share with our friends what you were looking at prior to our big brain explosion.
Yes. Hi. I'm trying to remember what was the thing. But I think my obsession. I get really obsessed in my head, and then I have a thought, and I'll have that same thought over and over and over and over again nonstop. And it doesn't stop me, but also I don't really get a lot of space in my head, even using all the tools. And who does it belong to? Do I say more? Do you want to keep going?
Well, I think the key point was that Alessandra thought that the target in her head was to have in her world was to have no awareness of thoughts, feelings, or emotions.
Yes.
She was going to eventually hit consciousness, which included having no thoughts, feelings, or emotions. And so what I walked her through, which I wanted to walk you guys through tonight, it's not that you will not have the awareness of, hear that part of the sentence of thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You will probably, if you didn't hear me on the last call, I think I said it. You do not do access consciousness to become less aware. You actually become more aware of the world around you. Okay. So thoughts, feelings, and emotions are flying everywhere in the air. They are everywhere. Okay. So if you're using who does this belong to no longer perceive, you aren't, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. You just could have more ease. So, um, so the other day, Alessandra, can we walk through the day you were having like a ton of intensity?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because I want you to share like what actually ended up lightening it up.
Yeah.
Um, so I said to Alessandra, I was like, what if there's a person in your building that's just like going through it? Like, what if not only does this not belong to you, but you're intensely aware of somebody in the building that you live in? Because I just kept seeing this apartment that was like adjacent to her that had a lot of intensity in it. And I said, what if that doesn't belong to you? What if it's somebody in your building that like just lost their job or just lost their dog or found out some bad news, you know? Um, and so she was like, okay, yeah, but, and then you take it from here.
Yeah, because I was just crying, having panic attacks. My body was aching, but I didn't have any trigger at all. Like nothing happened, and I couldn't pinpoint to what was causing that intensity. And that's not usually how it goes. Usually I can pinpoint to something, but in that case, I just felt really bad for 5 days. And then I talked to Sarah, and she said that, but I'm like, okay, I know it's not mine, but it's like I can't let it go. And then she said the weirdest thing ever. She was like, but what if that's also not yours? And that was so crazy because I could see the thing on top not being mine, but everything else attached to it was definitely mine. Like I didn't want to let it go. I was holding on to it like the same thing. But then when she said it, I just started crying. Not crying, the other thing, but laughing, the opposite of crying. I stopped crying because I was crying in the moment and I just started laughing.
Yeah. So I want to highlight that because one thing that you said was usually I can pinpoint. So all of the pinpointing that you've all been doing on other people's behalf of their thoughts, feelings, and emotions, figuring out a way to make it attached to you, your world, your reality. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, povads, basies, creations, and beyonds. Okay. But that's the thing. It's like pulling something out at the root. And a lot of us are using it for the like you said, like the top layer. We're like, who does it belong to? Okay, it's someone else's. But oh my God, but I'm still committed to, the feeling of it, or I'm still committed to the thoughts rolling around in my head. I'm still committed to all of the after effects. Even if I got that thing out, I have the aftertaste, if you will, of it. And that must be mine. That must be mine. So then there's that conclusion that comes along instead of going, okay, and who does that belong to? And what was that? What did that attach to? Because if you move that out and you pull it out by its root, you should get enough space to be able to ask a question of what you would like to create. Um, I've been on a kick lately, you guys, with the tools that a lot of us find the access tools because not everybody, so if this isn't you, totally fine. But a lot of us find the tools because something's not right. Okay. Like we're asking enough questions to desire change, and someone's like, hey, here's this possibility. Again, not everybody. A lot of people are just stumble into getting their bars run, you magical creatures. But a lot of us are like, hey, oh, now I found the tool. I didn't have a problem, but I'm going to invent one so that these tools can work for me. Okay. And if that's you, like just giggle at yourself because we're cute. Okay. Um, but what these tools do is they do remove, like help you use the clearings to remove the things from your life. But if you aren't also simultaneously, if not more, asking questions for creation, you're continually putting your focus on what's not working. Okay. So there's like, hey, because this reality wants you to find what's wrong about you or about a situation so that you can then go get it and make it right. Well, that traps you on the same paradigm of the original air quotes problem. Okay. If you have it wrong and you want to make it right, you are on the same plane, if you will. Okay. What choice does is you go, hey, I'd like to clear this out. Then you ask a question for possibility and then you make a new choice. Okay. This is like baby steps with the tools. So, okay. So I realized last week I would listen to the PMU. That's the short version of this creation, the PMU call. And Sarah said, what do I love about my money problem? Okay. So I'm going to ask that. What do I love about it? Oh shit. That came up. I love being a victim. It's awesome. Everybody has to take care of me. Cool. Everything that is, I destroy and uncreate. Now, what would I like to create? What would I like to ask for? Okay. What would I like to put there in its place, if you will? You're clearing that out. Now put in a building block of possibility rather than always seeking what you have to clear, because in the psychosis of that, it's a constant seeking of what's wrong with you so that you can clear the next thing that's wrong with you. So you can finally get to what's right about you, but you're not wrong and you'll never be right. Okay. Let it go. Let all that go. What you are is magnificent. What you are is brilliant. What you are is magical. And so you've got to start asking questions to expose that magic. Okay. So it might look like this. Everything that allows that to exist, I don't even need to seek like a very intense high prereq clearing in order to clear that. Okay. There's a story that I tell that years ago, Dane was really walking through something very intense. And he's like, hey, I'm like really making a lot of change with this. I've been running clearings left and right constantly. I said, what clearing are you running? Being that we're related, we have a lot of the same bullshit underneath our realities. So I was like, what are you running? I want to run it too. He said, oh, anytime it shows up, I just ask everything that allows that to exist, Spock and pot. And I was like, well, that's fucking easy. Okay. So anything that's showing up, any yuck stuck and what the fuck, everything that allows that to exist, I destroy and uncreate it. And then I would ask you to take 3 strong seconds, not 3 fast ones, 3 solid, good seconds, and allow yourself to perceive the energy going back in time. That's what the clearing statement's doing. Okay. It's going back in time and it's changing the energetic component of the reality you're living in. And then watch it. Like for me, when I'm like really walking through, I'll be like, everything allows that to exist. I destroy it and create it. I allow it to go back in time. And then I almost allow the ping of the new future that I now get to make a choice for. And then I make a question, I create a question of what would I like to create now? If I actually trust that this has changed in some way, it might not all be changed, but it's shifted. What in this new space right now, after I ran that clearing for that thing about money, what would I like to ask for? What I would like to generate. And then you use the generative clearings. Now, what are the generative clearings? Great question. I'm going to answer it. It's what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, possibility, power, potency, and profit. If you can't remember that, access shortens everything for you to make it easy. It's called the shebang-a-bang. So what shebang-a-bangs can me and my body be to, and then ask a question for possibility. So you're destroying while you're creating simultaneously. Okay. Did I say that word right? Simultaneously. Okay. So that you're not just focused on, hey, what's wrong with me? What, who does it belong to? Oh my God, it's not mine. Blah, blah, blah. Clear off the top layer and then sit in the other pile of poo. Okay. It's like, okay, cool. Who does it belong to? And then the other thing that I want to point out tonight is it wasn't very long ago that I heard 2 words in the who does this belong to description. Gary says, if it lightens up at all, it's not yours. Okay. I heard that as if it goes away, it's not mine. And if it's still here, then it must be mine. Okay. So another way that I was using that tool and making a conclusion out of it. And so then one time I was having a situation, I was on the phone with Hope, who's here in my bedroom, but also on screen. And I heard it. I finally fucking heard, if it lightens up at all, it's not mine. Okay. So if you ask the question, who's this belong to? And then it's not, go find out who it is. Okay. It doesn't mean you knock on the reality of everybody you know and everybody you've talked to. And is it your mom? It's always your mom, by the way. It's like always your mom. But that's a joke. Okay. It's not that. It's who does it belong to from the awareness of it's not mine. So you can also ask, is this mine? If who does it belong to makes you too curious and too nosy about who it belongs to. Okay. Is this mine? All right. If you perceive any lightness, you don't have to. Okay. If you perceive any lightness at all, any, even like this much, I don't know what accent that was, any even this much lightness, now you have something to work with. Okay. Now your creative capacities can go into that little crack of space that you've created with your question and expand it. Okay. Now you can ask the question, the follow-up question. Okay, perceive space. What would it take to expand the space? What do I need to be and stretch into to expand the space between me and this thing? And the more that you do that, and this will start to, if you commit to it, it really can just be the muscle that you use anytime something is up in your life. You go, who does it belong to? Okay, cool. I perceive the space, destroy it and create it. Allow it to go back in time, perceive it, have it ping off, go, what would I like to create? And what would it be like to expand this space? Okay. And those start to kind of play together so that you're not just always, again, stuck in looking at what's not working or what's wrong that you need to fix. Allie, did you have something else you wanted to add to that? I perceived that.
Yeah, because I I was driving today and I realized something. What kind of why I've been obsessed thinking everything's mine is I think I have a very like deep point of view that I'm very narcissistic and egotistical. You know the whole like main character vibe? It's like everything that's going on, if it feels like it's mine, it has to be mine because it's my life and everything revolves around me.
Yeah. Truth or the lie attached. What's the truth and what's the lie?
Like it's my life, so it's me. But if I'm aware, which doesn't mean having a quiet brain, probably the opposite. um, it's not mine.
Okay. So everybody here who has a judgment of being narcissistic because you've been treated poorly by someone who was, everywhere you're avoiding that, everywhere you're judging that, everywhere, Allie, everywhere, the other Allie, she's like, it's our face. Okay. Everywhere you want to punch narcissism in its face because the opposite is better, greater, and righter. Will you destroy it and create it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, hot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, poveds, bases, creations, and beyonds. Remember, anything you judge, you have to keep around. Okay. In order to hold it in place, you have to keep it near you. Does that make sense? Okay. Like or it's like, no, it doesn't make sense. Okay. This is narcissism. Okay. In order to know what my relation with narcissism and to avoid being it, I have to know what it smells like. So I know if I smell like it. Okay. Which is why you can have such a fucking point of view about narcissism and then have so many people around you who are narcissistic because guess what? They're like, oh, she smells like me. Okay. I'll be just like that. That's why I date narcissists. Yeah. So if you have a point of view about it, in order to maintain the point of view, to know how you relate to it, that's why you have a point of view about it, right? To make sure you're never going to become that because it's awful, it's mean, it's bad, it's wrong. You have to keep it right here in your reality so that you know what it tastes like. Okay. Here's the thing. You could just be like, oh, they're narcissistic. How do I play with that? Because narcissism is a lot of fun to play with if you're willing to manipulate it. What do you mean, sir? Yeah. Great question. Okay. But let me show you this.
To ask you a question.
What?
I was too busy being narcissistic in my own head to ask you a question.
But have you ever heard the reference materials, which are access consciousness? Like as every year they look at the manual for foundation and CFP, two classes you can take in access, and then anything that like isn't reading anymore, we've moved on, they put it in the reference materials. So you can go and look that up. So narcissism is actually described by access as someone who is extremely aware growing up, extremely heightened awareness. And the way that they dealt with that, because the world couldn't deal with them, is they created a bubble, an energetic bubble around them to keep everything else out so that they didn't harm anything. Now, can most narcissists hear that? Probably not. They would be narcissistic about it. But okay. So but basically, so now their whole world it does revolve around them because of that energetic bubble that they've created to not have the world, their awareness be at the effect of their awareness. So now it creates an energy of the being at the effect of their ego. Okay. So everything that brings up or lets down, let's destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, povads, bases, creations, and beyonds. What I wanted to point to is that if it wasn't wrong to be narcissistic, what else would you call that?
The first thing that popped was aware, but it might be because of the thing you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that and how many judgments do, like I saw Ali put in the chat too about like selfish people, that to be selfish is bad and wrong, and then to be selfless is greater, and then the person who's selfless is like, all I want to do is choose something for me, and I have no power, potency, or access to it to ever choose it because I'm so right for being selfless. Okay. Like I was raised by a selfless mother who was the most selfish person I've ever met. Now that I have access tools, I can see what she was doing the whole time. Okay. All right. She was controlling the world with her selflessness. Okay. So if we're asking to, use these tools to be more of us, to have more access to our being, does selfless work? You have to start include you in your life. And for some people, even including you in like what to order for dinner is challenging. And so anybody who like knows where they want to eat, somebody who's like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to order food, would see the other person as narcissistic. It's all about them. So the reason I'm inviting this is to kind of just stir the pot on the charge of that, because what you're calling narcissistic might not even be. But if you have such a strong reaction to it or such a judgment of it, anytime you get close to choosing for you and having the life you would like to have and putting you on your list, even if you're not at the top yet, you will be like, don't go there. I'll be narcissistic. Okay. Because you have a judgment of narcissistic. So you'll always stay like number 6 on the list of 10 and make sure the top 5 people are taken care of. And then maybe you can like squeeze something for you in. What would it take to have the willingness to appear narcissistic and the choice to never have to? Everything that doesn't allow that, can we destroy and uncreate it?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, povads, bases, creations, and beyonds.
I'm totally blank. This is great.
Awesome. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions about who does it belong to? Hope does, but she's going to about narcissism. Does anybody have any questions about who does it belong to? No, everybody's super clear. Okay. Do you want to?
Can you hear me? So there is a like sense or a feeling that I often get in my house, and I ask who does it belong to all the time, and I try to shake it, and it's like it's kind of like this thing you were talking to with Alessandra. It's not super intense, but it's like I always give into it, if that makes sense.
You give into it.
Yeah. Like it's like I'll end up like choosing from it instead of like being like the lively, happy me. I'm like, well, okay, well, I guess I'll just be like on today, or I'll just crawl back into bed and watch one more episode of my Apple TV show. And a lot of times it's like I'll walk in the apartment door and then there's that like kind of an energy. Yeah. Do you have a thing?
Well, who does it belong to? Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I ask. But then if your autopilot is I'm going into it anyways, are you actually ever asking? Because it's like, this is my so then look at your pattern. Like I walk in the house, I perceive the energy. Who does it belong to? I know it's not going to change. My point of view, it's not going to change. So just give into it. It's like, wow, who does it belong to? Wow. I wonder if right now, like play with yourself, like not on camera. Play with yourself after the Zoom. I highly support that, but maybe not right now. Okay. But if you go into the playfulness of it, like even with Alessandra, I can't confirm that I'm aware that there's someone in her building going through it. That's a possibility. It's one of a godzillion, a number we don't know, right? She could be aware of, children in China. I don't know, right? Okay. But if it lightens up to go, is it my neighbors? Okay, for just a second, I'm going to just pretend it's my neighbors. Like I'm just totally aware every time I come home of my neighbor's reality. That is so easy to then go, nope, not mine, my neighbors, even if it's not neighbor. Because it could be like your neighbor in India. It doesn't necessarily have to be next door, but that's how easy you can move through it. Like I travel a lot and I know when I walk in the door, there's a different level, there's a different kind of energy in my house. Okay, when I walk in, do I become that? Or do I go, oh, okay, cool. I'm home. This is what this is. What would I like to choose with it? How would I like to interact with it? What would I like to be with it? Is there anything here I can change? Is there anything that got greater that I haven't acknowledged while I was gone? What can I add to that? And staying in the play. There. Kate, can you, or someone, I suck at the chat. I do not know how Dane does this. I really don't. I think it's because he has 17 computer screens all going at once, but if there's anything, okay. Ali
Well,
says
Allie
sometimes when I
just put
return
in-
it to sender, I don't feel anything different. Yeah. Okay. Is that? Thanks, Kate. That's what was alerting me to ask you to look at the chat because I saw that one. So sometimes when I return to sender, I don't feel any different. Okay. And then I'll take Sandy's question, and then we'll probably go. Okay. So the tool goes, who does it belong to? Lightens up, it's not yours. And then you return to sender with consciousness attached. One of the things I would invite you all to do that you might not have ever heard before is to acknowledge that the consciousness attached is your consciousness, is your being, the gift that you be for the change that is required. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Sit back, relax, get your popcorn. It's a short one, but enjoy yourself. Okay. So I have a really good friend. I've told this story a lot. So some of you are hearing it for a lot of times, but bear with me. I have a really good friend who calls herself a highly functioning suicidal person. Okay. She has had attempted suicide a number of times. She then changed her life and used the access tools primarily to do that. Does not think about suicide anymore and was playing in my business for years and just became a really dear friend. One morning, a few years ago, I get a 911 call. Like me, so basically, she's like, I need to talk to you now. You need to drop everything. Please get on the phone with me, like via text. And I was like, okay. So we get on the phone. She's like, Sarah, I don't know what it is, but I think I'm actually on the verge of actually choosing to take my life right now. And I said, what? And she said, did you not hear me? This is very serious. I am actually looking at the possibility of taking my life. Things are just way too heavy. And all I can think about is just ending it. And I did what any good friend would do. I started laughing at her. At which point she got very upset. And I asked her why she's not laughing too. And she said, because this is very serious. And I said, my friend who's always been aware of suicidal energies, which for her, she turned into the acknowledgement of the choice to be here, the choice to not be here. I said, my friend, do you realize that today is World Suicide Awareness Day? And you are aware of suicidal thoughts and you're picking up on all of them, like the beacon that you are for that energy. And so what we looked at was the fact that like it has a capacity that she thought meant she was suicidal. She has a capacity to contribute to people leaving their bodies should they want to choose it. And she's used that capacity in many, many ways. Okay. I get really pulled into like the depths of judgment of beauty. And there'll be days when I wake up and I'm like, I don't even deserve to have a body. I am so deep in self-judgment and self-loathing of beauty. And I know because of that with her, I know I'm here to be something that changes that. But it also means that I am part of the beacon that if people are out there self-loathing or hating their bodies or their beauty, that when they reach out and go, help, I'm one of the conscious beings that they call out to. And if I don't pick that up, wrap it up and put it under my tree for Christmas, I can actually look at it, be the gift and send it back. Okay. You all have your own unique capacity many unique capacities that you are tapped into and that you contribute to because you're you. What will often mean that you're picking up on the energies of people who are requiring contribution. And so when you return to center with consciousness attached, it's because you have the consciousness that will contribute. That's why it went through your world, because you are the gift that can change it. But if you don't acknowledge that, then you'll never perceive when you send it back, because you don't even know what the fuck you're sending back because you've already owned it. You've already owned it. It's like trying to, return used underwear to the store. They're not taking that return, right? But if you know that you're a gift and you're sending the gift back of contribution, you flow it that way, it includes you and the gift that you be. Okay. And that is way easier to perceive because you're not in the judgment of you. You're in the acknowledgement of you. Okay. You are so welcome. This is what we did this for. So cool. Miss Sandy, how can I contribute to you before we go? Because I said 30 minutes and I'm never going to ever stick to that. So
that was so beautiful. I almost don't want to ask my question.
You said what? Say it again.
That was so beautiful. The last part you said that I almost don't want to ruin it and ask another question.
Oh no, it's okay. Ask. And thank you.
Thank you. What I've been looking at is that sometimes I will get so into myself and like with my barriers up just to not be aware of people, because if not, I'm all day returning to sender. And it's tiring. So I don't know the question, but that I find myself like not even looking, and I know even if I don't look at people, I'm perceiving them, or like in my phone playing solitary or whatever stupid game just to keep my mind here and not pick up on anyone else.
Okay. I'm so grateful that you brought that up, because first off, you guys, you have to give it a good go with trusting that they do. A lot of people, myself, like I keep saying myself included, because I've like so walked this path, where I was like, yeah, I'm doing the thing, right? Like, when a kid comes up and is like, I'm sorry, and you're like, you don't mean it. Say it like you mean it, as if you can manufacture that. But you can do the same thing from a totally different energy, right? And get a different result. If someone comes up and goes, I'm so sorry that affected you like that, you're like, oh, thank you. If someone's like, sorry, then, right? So it's the same thing with the tools. If you don't actually trust that these tools will work, they won't work, because your point of view creates your reality. Now, why do I address that? Because the only reason you would need to close off is if you didn't trust that when it came in, you could bounce it right back out with who does it belong to, right? And you won't get vulnerable enough to lower your walls and barriers, like we talked about on Potency Project, right? You lower your walls and barriers so much that you can actually perceive what's required in different ways. And some things that come in, I was going to give a really gross example, but I'm going to try to do a better one that's not so nasty. Okay. Have you ever, I think I've used this one before. Have you ever taken a sip of something you thought was Coke and it was like actually iced tea? Right. And you're like, no, like what happened to my mouth? Right. And you're like, it's like that. Something can be coming in and your wall and barrier is just to keep everything out. But you realize you're also keeping out all the things that could contribute to you, right? Something comes in and it's like, oh, Coca-Cola, or oh, it's iced tea, or whatever one you like better, right? And you're trying to keep it out. And then as closer it gets, you go, oh my gosh, that's a gift. That's an acknowledgement of me. That's an acknowledgement of something that desires to contribute to me. So you don't have, if you're doing that, a lot of it's because you don't trust you don't trust the universe, that whatever comes your way, you can be with the tools. And anything that doesn't require your attention or you're like ninjaing with the tools, you just let it go on by. Because then you have access to the magic, the miracles, the mysteries, and the possibilities if your walls are down. You can't get to them through the walls and barriers and the shutout.
Yeah, and that's actually why I noticed like that I was with my barriers up, because I noticed I'm not receiving. And I was like, what's going on? And I'm in a bad mood and everything. And I noticed I'm not receiving. So
Well, what if you just dropped one barrier? Like you can keep the other 9,726, but just drop one today.
Yeah.
Like for real, I mean it. Like really just go, okay, you know what? I'm going to receive from the chair I'm sitting on. Have I even acknowledged this chair that's holding me up? You know, or, you know, I'm going to receive from my plant friends. Right now, that's all I can let in. They don't have a lot of thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So this works for me, you know, thank you. Whatever it is, like what if you started to look at expanding that out so you can start to untell the lies that you require so many walls and barriers? And you're not wrong for creating them. They are part of your creative capacities, you guys. Everything in your life is your creation. And I know a lot of us are like, well, that means I'm not very good at creating. What it means is you can take something that doesn't exist and add your energy to it and make it look so real. You are a magician. Okay. So whether that is you're under attack, you're the victim, you have the money problem. I mean, I am a magician too. I've created some really massive bullshit, right? And I've put all my energy into it. All right. And so then we go, okay, cool. If I wasn't wrong, I just look at going, oh, I'll just turn the magic hose the other way. Pock and pot. Okay. Just turn it towards what you desire to create and not what you're currently creating that's not working. Okay. You are a massive creator, but if you doubt that, or you think that creation is only about creating the good, right things, then you're kind of missing the point of what creation is. The acknowledgement of creation has no polarity. I can go out front and dig a really deep hole and I created a hole, or I can go out front and build a huge ladder to climb and I built a ladder. Either way, I created something, whether it just depends on which way I want to go, down or up.
Wow.
So if you, just look at what else you can receive. Don't judge you for not being ready to receive it all. That's totally fine. It's like, okay, okay. And then acknowledge the fact that you got to the place where like, wow, I'm not receiving right now. That's really cool. Most people can't even tap into the fact that they're not receiving, which is fine too. But look at where you're at. And now once you acknowledge it, you can change it. Once you look at it and you see it and you go, okay, what is this? What is the value of choosing this? What do I love about it? And if I knew not this, what would I be aware of? And how many walls and barriers? So talk about who does it belong to? How many walls and barriers are you holding in place on behalf of other people? Okay. A lot of us are protecting the world from us, not us from the world. What if it was time truly to destroy the world as it is to create a greater one? If we all just unhid and we're like, you know what, this is me. This is me in all my glory and all of my air quotes disaster, all of my shiny parts and all of my rusty bits. This is me.
Wow, this is so amazing. Today I had an SOP, an awesome SOP session with Caesar, and all of this came up also.
So Caesar does SOP sessions in Mexico City.
He does.
I wonders if he's told anybody about it.
He
Wow.
told me, and I
Yeah.
went and I received it. And that's when I noticed I'm not receiving anything else.
Oh, interesting. I wonder what he could receive as well. He should maybe tell people about his SOP sessions in Mexico City that open people to receiving. I don't know, just one idea. Cool.
Recommend.
That's so fucking cool. What else is possible, you guys? I hope this contributed to you today, and please listen to it back so you can just see the little nuances that'll be a little different than you've heard these tools before. That's what I'm hoping to kind of bring to you. A little confession. For many years as a facilitator, I tried to facilitate each tool like I heard everybody else do it. And I was highly limiting what I would be with that tool or how I would use the tool because I thought, I'm going off script here. I'm going off book. I'm probably going to get in trouble. And then I started to explore what it would look like to unhide me with regards to the tools. And I started to get a lot of feedback of people being like, oh my God, that tool finally makes sense for me. So whatever you be with the tool, however you use it, please unhide. You can share about it in the chat. Like, please be willing to explore because we all know something that someone else doesn't know. So just acknowledge that today too. And I will be in the chat sooner than later for our next date. But thank you so much for jumping on with us tonight. I hope you get to go forth and who does it belong to? Karate chop everything in your world. I adore you all so much. Thank you. Thank you, Ali, for contributing tonight too. Mwah. Bye, you guys.